right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GSL Code A. This is the qualification tournament for Code S. I am Moltrap. With me here is Kaldor, and we are glad you guys can come back for the final match on this stream. You guys are going to be lucky enough to see NaDa playing some games. That wasn't that good.
Yeah, but I really didn't think that you were going for that.
NaDa versus Lucky is going to be our last match, and I did want to clarify again, this is a new format this season, and I think I actually may have misspoken about the format earlier a little bit. Basically what this is, if you win in the round of 32, then you're going to be going at least to the round of 24, right? And that's where you have a possibility of qualifying directly for Code S. If you win your round of 24, your third round match, you go to Code S. If you lose that, then you go to the up and down matches. If you lose today in the second round, you're also going to be going to the up and down matches. So the losers of today's matches are actually still going to have a possibility of getting into Code S, but the up and down matches are going to be really difficult to get through. So just keep that in mind, that there is a lot on the line today for that situation. We're going to watch a little bit of the replay from that last game while we get prepped for the next game.
That was exactly when we had the Terran player trying to attack the third base of JYP, and I'm sure that we will see that fail field at the ramp in just a few seconds, as well as the Atosis Pylon powering about 8 buildings. But there's JYP entering his opponent's main base, just trying to get a grip on the situation, and he actually killed so many SCVs. He killed like 40 in that encounter. Just walked in there and turtled off with a lot of force fields, doing a really, really good job. Look at that. Kind of safe against that and taking apart the workers of his opponent.
Yeah, and you notice how his army is relatively small. He just had a lot of sentries and not many stalkers there. That's because he had to warp in units at his main, and so he couldn't afford to warp in those support units at that attack point. And look at that. Yeah, that was massive fail.
And yeah, that one single pylon. Looking pretty damn good. But not for long. There are a bunch of zealots, but that's about it. He tries to defend with probes as well, but at that point in time, JYP is already in a tough spot and now losing that pylon as well. This is just horrible for the Protoss player. Now, boom, there you go. Unpowering 7 buildings. Not 8.
Yeah. Yeah, the 6 gateways and, of course, the core as well, although he wasn't exactly researching air weapons at that point in time, so that wasn't that important. But, yeah, that was just badly played by JYP, and we got to see that crushing moment again where the force field was a complete failure. He let all the forces in there, and then also kept his sentries there and let them die instead of trying to force field again and make some sort of salvage of the situation. But yeah, that was pretty bad. And then of course in game 2 we had Bomber just go for an attack, and the DTs did nothing, and the counterattack did everything.
I mean, you have
targeted down both the Nexuses.
You're investing a lot when you go TTs, and when it fails like that, when your opponent is able to throw that back without you dealing any damage at all. He knows that he's in a really commanding lead, and Bomber took advantage of that, just capitalized on that, attacked straight away, took down the expansion, took out the main Nexus, and therefore won that game. But we are focusing on the next match. This is Lucky, our Zerg player, and he was able to beat Naniwa with 2-0.
Yeah, Lucky has Naniwa's number apparently, man, because Lucky beat Naniwa. He 2-0'd him, and then Naniwa went off outside of Korea and beat like everyone else in the world except Leenock, and it was pretty ridiculous. So Lucky, maybe he got lucky with Naniwa's play there, and he actually did, because Naniwa, I remember it, even in one of those games, Naniwa kind of did the same thing where he barely missed a force field. It wasn't a complete miss, but he missed a force field and lost one of the games as a result. So, but here's his opponent. Another legend from Brood War. I should say a legend from Brood War. Poor Gigi wasn't exactly legendary in Brood War. He was just a champion. But NaDa is going to be his opponent.
That's That's right. So we have NaDa, and he lost the last few games that he played against Zerg. He lost in the GSL against NST, and he lost against Don Ragu at MLG with 2-0. We are ready to roll. The first map today in this particular best of 3 will be Crossfire. NaDa against Lucky, Terran against Zerg. Really excited about that last match today, at least for this stream, that is. And there are the two players. I think so, Lucky against OGS NaDa.
Yep, first map is going to be Crossfire SE, then Daybreak, and then of course Tal'Darim Ultra is going to be map number 3. NaDa is, you know, I saw his games against Soccer before, and he played pretty well in the last round. So hopefully he'll play just as well again today. He's going to have a much tougher opponent, I think, in Lucky. Game number 1 is about to start. Let's get into the game here at the GSL Code A. Round number 2. All right, down here at the bottom left-hand corner of the map is our Zerg player who's played really well in the past. Did very well in Code A in previous season.
So lucky.
There he is. Actually hasn't gotten too far in Code A, but definitely a strong player.
He's facing the Terran player at the top right in blue. He's facing
OGS NaDa.
And let's talk a little bit about statistics again before we actually enter the build order. So we have NaDa with a 51% win ratio against Zerg. He played about 50 games, 49 to be exact, and he won 20. 5 of them lost, only 24. Lucky, on the other hand, didn't play all that many games yet against Zerg. He played like 25, won 14 of them, which gives him a win ratio of 61. But you always have to consider the amount of games that have been played. Lately, NaDa struggled a little bit against Zerg, but one has to state as well that he faced the best ones. He faced NST and Don Ragu, didn't win a single map against them, but was able to take out Sheth with 2-1 and Red as well. I guess there was a MLG or IGN. I have to admit that I'm not quite sure about that right now. But Lucky, in a matchup against Terran, he had to yield against SC at the GSL, but he was able to take out Noblesse. And he won against MMA at the IGN semi-final with 3-0, which was quite impressive. So he's definitely a player that can pull off a win in the matchup against the Terran. And NaDa will have to be very, very careful against his opponent.
Yeah, he beat Ryung and Boxer in that tournament as well. Ryung, very, very strong. Boxer has been doing well this season. I wouldn't call him a terribly strong Terran right now, but he's been doing pretty well. He's playing tomorrow.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. Oh, sorry, my bad. I couldn't see that on my monitor right now. So Lucky, with that fast expansion, is already getting gas and is cool. While for NaDa, we have a factory being built. I expect that we are going to see a reactor fairly soon as well. He doesn't have the gas just yet to place down that reactor. Now we have the 50 gas, and here we go, reactor being placed down at the barracks. So we will see reactor, Hellions, and an expansion follow-up by NaDa, while Lucky's now just trying to drone up. Will obviously also attempt to spread his creep a little bit further in order to secure his main base, the ramp that is, and the expansion at the same time. Pull drones off gas, and here's the expansion by the OGS player. The Terran in blue, OGS NaDa now going for that really common reactor Hellion expansion that we see a lot of Terrans do in TVZ.
Yeah. Now remember, this is also, I mean, this is kind of an important game for both players, as, if you recall, NaDa, he's a player that's usually been in, you know, even in the round of 16 of the Code S, he's gotten to the semifinals before as well. So he cannot feel too comfortable being down here in Code A right now. He really wants to get back into Code S as quickly as possible, reclaim his position. And I remember he actually is taking off some time from school this last semester to focus on StarCraft, so it's a little disappointing that he got so badly eliminated from the last season. Probably expecting more from himself this season.
He's following up that barracks, that factory play with the starport, and we are about to see metabolic boost for the Zerglings. So those Hellions need to be careful. The first Spine Crawler is already in position. Lucky is doing very well so far. He's facing a bunch of Hellions, but there was just no way that NaDa could deal any damage to his opponent. And Lucky is just droning up like crazy right now, trying to get that economy advantage that he needs in order to defeat the Terran player. That command center is about to be done for NaDa as well. 40 supply for the Zerg, 40 for NaDa as well. But a small lead in workers for our Zerg player. He's going to place down an evolution chamber to wall off a little bit. And there's that Banshee play.
Interesting. Yeah, Banshee's coming out as well as the double Hellions from the reactor there. Getting his expansion going as well. So NaDa's going to be expanding and also trying to put on some pressure here.
What you usually try to do if you're a Terran player and you face a Zerg, you get those Hellions in order to control the map, control the Xanaga watchtowers, try to get... Very well done, denied the scout. You're just trying to deny that third base. And on a map like Crossfire, that's quite possible, especially with that Banshee player as well. He should be able to shut down additional expansion attempts by the Zerg, by Lucky. And the other thing is that a lot of Zerg players have reacted to that by just droning up on 2 bases, getting a significant lead, getting the tech buildings, and then just start to expand later on with the third and a fourth after they get their tech going. And NaDa, is he actually waiting for the second Banshee in his base? It certainly looks like it.
It looks that way, yes. And he's actually getting Cloak as well. And he's getting a third command center. This could be interesting. I wonder if he might even wait for 3 Banshees with Cloak and then move out with that and try and catch Lucky completely off guard.
I actually think so. The timings would fit with that second Banshee being a build right now. We have a macro hatch for Lucky. And NaDa, if he really goes for the Cloak play, that could hit Lucky pretty hard. He has the lair tech, so he can get an Overseer, but if he's not aware of what's happening and doesn't throw down a Spore Crawler, then he might still lose a lot of anti-air units. He might lose the Queen straight away. This is going to be quite a nice timing.
Yeah, if you have 3 Banshees, they can target down a Queen very, very quickly, and he is not moving out. He's waiting for that third Banshee with Cloak. So this could be very strong. Zergling's not going to get in to scout anything. Nicely done on the depots by NaDa.
He needs to make sure, though, that there's no Overlord in the path of the Banshee, so I would really like to see him either go for a Viking as well in order to clear the path, or just scout with a Marine in order to make sure that there is just no unit by his opponent. But
Overseer running into the main right now. Is he going to see it? Is NaDa going to notice it and run his Banshees away? Oh! He sees the Tech Lab on...
and immediately starts with the Spore Crawler.
But he doesn't see the 2 Banshees that were there, and NaDa is now sending out 3 cloakable Banshees across the map right now. But as you said, Spore Crawlers are going up. He is not going to catch Lucky off guard. After all, another Overseer morphed at the front of Lucky's base as well. That one Overseer just saved Lucky a lot of pain.
At the same time with this push, NaDa is going for double Engineering Bay in order to get those upgrades. And here is the Banshee attack. The Queens, 3 of them are immediately being targeted by the Banshees. The Banshees doing a lot of damage, taking out now Queens, and will be able to focus on those Banelings as well. That Queen won't have a good time. Oh, he's actually not even killing it. He could have just gone in and killed the Queen. He didn't do so because of that one Spore Crawler. Really don't agree with that decision.
And he's being a little indecisive here, but the Queens are going to catch up. 4 Queens is too much for those Banshees to deal with. And I'm really surprised, that he's not using this position to better advantage to do things like kill Banelings, kill the Spine Crawlers at the front so his Hellions can go in.
The third base for NaDa is up. He's controlling the map right now, even though he wasn't able to deal a lot of damage with all those Banshees. He needs to be careful. There are way too many Queens for him to deal with, but he is still in control of the map, can therefore expand, can take his third at the top left. And the Baneling speed being researched right now, the Spire about to finish fairly soon. Lucky does have 800 gas, so there will be a lot of potential Mutalisks.
Yeah, he's going to be gearing up for that, and that's what he needs. You can't really move out as a Zerg until you get Mutas when they have Banshees like that. Everything else, Roaches obviously won't help, Lings won't help, and you can't really go for Hydras either because then those are going to be a little bit too vulnerable to siege tanks. So He's going to have that Spire Pop in just a moment. And once he gets those mutas out, 10 mutas on the way now, he's going to be able to finally move out on the map and try and secure a third base. Although NaDa's already secured his third.
Yeah, he already built. Oh, there's a small attack, but whoa, NaDa, be careful right there. I have to say that I don't think those Mutalisks will deal all too much damage to the Terran player. There are already 3 missile turrets and a bunker with Marines at the third base, and he's building a lot of missile turrets as is natural in his main base. So I don't think that that will hurt NaDa at all, but Lucky with the Mutalisks on the map is able to take his third base right now at the bottom right. Molotov already elaborated on that, and yeah, NaDa is actually looking pretty good. He's on 140 against 128, and so far Lucky couldn't get any significant lead over his opponent. NaDa doing quite well, getting tanks, Marines right now, and already throwing down the armory to get the +2/+2 upgrades.
Yep, and that means he's going to be able to get out Thors as well in order to even better deal with these Mutalisks. As they come in to do a little bit of harassment, NaDa not overstimming, not overcommitting to dealing with those mutas.
Yeah, Lucky just realized, okay, basically I can't do all that much. NaDa had to invest a lot of minerals into those missile turrets, so we still have to mention that, but I'm still also a little bit surprised that NaDa didn't go for Planetary Fortress at the top left. He went for the Orbital Command, so he needs to be careful when Lucky is actually going to attack that he has enough forces to deal with that. And Lucky is preparing for that attack. He has 87 army supply against 88. NaDa isn't looking too shabby. He's getting the +1 attack upgrade for the tanks, getting +2/+2 for the Marines.
Yeah, they are almost dead even in supply right now. Almost dead even in economy. NaDa's a little bit ahead with the mules, and here he comes in. Oh no, he loses. He's going to lose. No, he doesn't lose those units. They get together with the reinforcements, but now NaDa is in trouble. Banelings coming in are going to wipe out the bunker and not quite go for the orbital.
Wow. The positioning by Lucky is really beautiful right now. He had that small window of opportunity where he could attack his opponent's main base. He did that, borrowed 2 Banelings, took out a lot of Marines, and is able to destroy the third, runs away with Lings and Mutalisks, and didn't lose all too many units. Is still on 170 supply against 140. Lucky with the beautiful decision-making and positioning, and NaDa, well, he had just a lot of bad luck right there, and I told you, he should have gone for that planetary.
Yeah, he loses the orbital as well. It does not get away from those Mutalisks. And yeah, now NaDa is in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be behind at this point. He's trying to replace that third base, but it's going to be a while.
Oh, the Banshees will die, all of them, but how much damage will they be? Oh god, he doesn't realize that the Overseer is out of sight. He's attacking his opponent, but how many units will the Banshees actually kill? Look at that, a lot of drones are being annihilated. Lucky, what are you doing? Finally realizing what's happening, focusing down the Banshees with the Overseer. At the same time attacking the natural.
There was a total of about 25 kills on those 2 Banshees, although some of those were from earlier. But yeah, oh, he's actually going to kill an Evo Chamber here randomly too. Not too bad.
It was so unnecessary. There are 2 Queens with enough energy for transfuses. He could use those anytime.
Yeah, Lucky's getting sloppy.
Oh god, he's on 186 supply though, getting 14 Banelings, 26 Zerglings, 166 for NaDa, getting more tanks and Marines.
NaDa's had enough though. He is moving across the map right now with a sizable army, lots of Marines, lots of tanks. No Thors with this army though, so the mutas are going to be a pretty good threat for picking off tanks if they are astray.
NaDa needs to get aggressive right now, even though he killed a lot of drones at the bottom right. He knows that he's on 2 base against 3, Lucky even getting a 4th, so he needs to put some pressure onto the Zerg player. That's exactly what he's doing right now. NaDa, by the way, killed 24 drones in total.
And here comes the attack to close off this attack. Bailey's coming in from all sides. The Mutalisks doing so much damage as well. And NaDa just gets slaughtered. His entire army gets wiped out. Of course, Lucky did lose a lot in that because a lot of his units were Banelings, so they of course died in the battle as well. So NaDa is still 40 supply behind though.
+3/+3 being researched for NaDa now. And the main problem for the Terran player is that his opponent is already on 4 bases. He has the economy in order to deal with a situation like that. He has the resources to rebuild his army, even though he's only 2 workers ahead on 62. At the left side of the map, we see the 4th base for Lucky, while NaDa is just now getting his 3rd. More and more Mutalisks being built for Lucky, and he will be able to pick off Marines and tanks alike. Taking control of Naga Watchtower. Those Banelings are a little bit too unlucky, and no, that's not going to happen. That base is probably going to fall as well.
No, he needs to live.
At those
it might not save it. Is he going to target it down? Yes, he targets it down, and
wow! That was close.
Oh, that's why massive SCVs repairing from underneath. Didn't even see them.
He went straight for the command center instead of just blocking with the SCVs, and the Zerglings were not able to pick off the SCVs. Were trying to take the Marines, but the focus with the Mutalisk was not enough. Lucky for a second just hovered there and tried to take it down nonetheless, but when he realized that it wasn't possible because of the amount of SCVs, he just retreated, and now the tanks and the Marines are just dying. Yeah, he's just picking off all these tanks. There's nothing NaDa can do right now.
Yeah, he's got such a nice little flock of mutas. He's got in total 25 Mutalisks, pretty good, that he can catch those reinforcements and pick them off very quickly. NaDa's army is not very large at all right now. He actually only has 2 tanks, 2 medevacs, and 36 Marines. So he can't be ever at once with that small army.
NaDa, on the other hand, has a pretty decent defense at that 3rd base, and Lucky needs to turn up the heat right now. He needs to take another base, needs to get an advantage, but he's just moving in, picking off the 2 tanks, and the Banelings are chasing down all those Marines, picking them off with the Mutalisks as well. The turrets are nothing compared to that Muta flock, and that expansion, it will die. NaDa back to 2 bases. Lucky looking so strong right now.
Yeah, and this is NaDa's last chance, is just to push with these last units, because he is not mining at all. He's got 3 patches left in his natural, and that's it. Might float his main somewhere, but it's really, you know, if NaDa had any economy at all, he'd still be in this, because NaDa is actually at 3-3. His Marines are upgraded to 3-3, whereas Lucky has 1 Carapace on his air units and only 1-1 on his ground units. So he has been so out-upgraded that if it comes to a straight-up battle where with even forces, NaDa will win. But Lucky just has too much.
So what is Lucky doing? He just eats Banelings, but he doesn't get any. Oh, Lucky going for that base trade scenario. He knows that he will win that quite easily. The Mutalisks are just so mobile. The 4th base of the Zerg player dies, but at the same time, he attacks NaDa's main, has a beautiful position at the production buildings, can pick off every single unit that is being produced by the Terran player. NaDa just with a drop play, trying to go into the 2nd. Yep, that's going to work, but still, with 76 supply against 150, NaDa is on the losing end of that battle.
Yeah, this is not looking good at all for NaDa. His base is in tatters. It is definitely just a base trade situation. But Lucky is bringing the Mutas home. He's got a bunch of Banelings and some Zerglings and some drones. Here he is. He's going for it. He's going to try and crush this. Those 2 Thors are so important for this defense. But it looks like here comes Lucky's last chance to crush everything. Rolling the Banelings even on top of the Thor. Thor taking some shots at the Mutas, and all the ground units die. Lucky saves his Mutas, though.
22 against 22 Marines. Here come the Banelings and the Mutalisks taking down the rest of NaDa's forces. GG. Lucky wins game number 1 on Crossfire. And again, Korean hip-hop.
Is it Korean? Sounds like English to me. It might be Korean band though. Sometimes
I have no idea.
English.
It's just weird.
But yeah, NaDa not looking too hot in that game at all. He just got outplayed there basically. I mean, he went for this early Banshee play and it got scouted just in time, and the Banshees did nothing. And so he spent all that money on Banshees that he didn't really have the troops necessary to do any damage on the ground with his follow-up attack. So, plus which it was really well defended by Lucky with just massive Lings and Banelings.
I really don't agree with that Banshee attack, because it was just way too late. If you go for a one-base play and you start with Hellions and you follow that up with the Benji, with Cloak Benjis, that's alright. But he went for the expansion. He went for a lot of tech. Started to wait with 3 Benjis on the way. He didn't have a Viking in order to clear the path. So even if that Overseer wouldn't have been in position to scout that tech lab, the Banshees at some point would just have encountered either one of the watchtowers or probably one of the overlords, because nowadays Zergs really pay attention to the overlord positioning. And at that point, he can just throw down a couple of spore crawlers. He already has the lair tech, so he can get the overseer, and he will have at least 3 queens. So even if he relies on the queens, he can just try to transfuse and rely on the 3 of them.
Well,
I don't know how that's supposed to work.
The only thing I would say to that actually is that NaDa, he's actually very good about clearing out overlords around the map. He sends out marines and stuff. I'm not sure if he did that time, but he had both of the towers at the time. So he knew he had actually a clear path with no overlords down the middle of the map. So I think if that hadn't been scouted, if he'd gotten there when there was no spores, and he ended up having an overseer already morphed, so kind of in anticipation, but if he'd arrived there and there wasn't those spores, I think he would have been able to do a lot more damage. You know, we can never know, obviously, but I think it just in getting scouted, it was a real big gamble, because if it did get scouted, it would get shut down completely, and that's exactly what happened. So
NaDa was still able to deal some damage at the 3rd base. I mean, those 2 Banshees took out a lot of units, but that was mainly because NaDa, Lucky just didn't realize.
Yeah.
He sent in the Overseer and he sent in the Mutalisk maybe with an A-click just in order to clean that up and focus on other points on the map. And he didn't realize that he misclicked with the Overseer and actually moved it way too far to the right side of the map so that they weren't able to detect the Banshees. So that was a small misstep that ended up working in NaDa's favor, but Lucky made up for that later on. And
yeah, exactly. And NaDa didn't really kill off the 3rd. He didn't really do too much damage. Lucky could replace those drones pretty easily. So even though Lucky played a little bit sloppy, he'd gained too much of an advantage already. So
key moment, losing that 3rd, top left.
So we're going to go ahead and move into game number 2 here in just a moment. It's going to be on the map Daybreak. Lucky has never really gotten into anywhere near Code S. He did get into the up and down matches once, but lost pretty badly in those. And so he's going to be fighting for all his worth to try and get into the next round. NaDa wants to get back into Code S. He's been in it before. This is his first season in Code A. So both these players want it bad. Who's going to want it badder? We're going to find out in just a moment on Daybreak here at the GSL.